After 32 years of NC, my entitled wealthy family, who abandoned me as a baby, demanded I give them a child when I was 13, stopped child support after refusing, forcing me to quit studies and live on the streets after abusive mom kicked me out. They now contacted me to reconcile with them, offering money as compensation for my struggles and lost time. I don't really know where to start on this because I cannot wrap my head around the situation at times. I don't know if it's a big deal or if it matters at all, so I will start from the beginning. I am 32F, and my parents had me when they were 20. My mom's side of the family was miners and ranchers, and my father's side owns an oil and natural gas company. It sounds like both my parents were extremely young, and both sides of the family were disappointed that they were pregnant so young since they both had full-ride scholarships. They stayed together for a year after I was born, and then my dad left. Their relationship ultimately ended with him beating my mom and her ending up in the hospital. And then she went before a judge and asked the charges to be excused so he could join the military. From that point on, that side of my family no longer acknowledged me. My mom says that he was in a bad spot after I was born and dealing with trauma from his youth. He calls my mom a W. My father then went on to have a very impressive military career, from what I understand. In his own rights, he became very wealthy, even outside the family oil business. Me and my mom just kind of grew up side by side, scrapping the world together. She messed up a lot, but I was never in question if she loved me. It was always us growing up together. I have no resentment toward my mom, but my uprising was filled with abuse from her partner, neglect, and money problems. All issues are moot points, and I would rather not get into them. Anyway, when I was 13, my mom decided she felt comfortable enough to want me to have a relationship with my paternal family, and I was old enough they could not get custody. My stance was I had no interest and did not want to meet him. My mom thought it would be good for me. His stance was that he would only meet me if I was his child, and that he would help out with child support if he had access to me. Correct me if I am wrong, but I do not think child support works like that. Anyway, the paternity test came back. 99.99% chance I am his daughter. Then, a year later, we met. I went to dinner with my mom, him, his wife, and my half-brother. It was horrible and awkward, is really all I remember. His then wife shortly divorced him. I think meeting me was the straw that broke the camel's back. We went out for one solo dinner after that some time later, and I was practically mute, and he would ask me aggressive questions that were so uncomfortable. One that is seared into my mind is, "What do you want to know about me?" And I said I don't know, and he responded with I lost my virginity when I was 13, right around my age at the time. I just didn't speak until I got home. Then I did not hear from him until I was 17, almost 18. I don't know if it was because of the divorce or if he was deployed. I did not know he was divorced from wife 1 at the time. He called me and was saying he wanted to fly me out to his house. While on the phone, he said, "Wife 2's name, my wife, will you grab me some water? I am so thirsty." And that's when I found out my father was remarried. They flew me out to the East Coast to see them. When my dad picked me up from the airport, the first thing he said to me, which I will never forget, was, "When is the last time you've seen a gynecologist? You know you are at the age where you need to be seen." That set an awful tone for the rest of the trip. The house was filled with their wedding photos. They were recent, and all her kids were in them, as was my half-brother. I was not invited or even considered to be invited, obviously. Then at one point, wife 2 and my dad were talking to me about if I ever became pregnant, that they would just raise the child, no questions asked. I was barely sexually active at that time and had already decided I did not want kids. I told them, I don't think it would be a possibility. And my dad slammed his hand down and said, "What? Are we not good enough to raise your kid?" And I said, "No, I wasn't finished. I have no intention of giving birth, but if I did, I would raise it." He walked out. The only conversation we really had during that trip was me telling him how out of control my mom is and how I needed help. My mom was living with her boyfriend at the time, and I was living at home, trying to figure out rides to school and get food. Our home often would go without running water or electricity because my mom wouldn't pay the bill and it was safe. It was really bad circles she was running in, and there were often threats made to hurt me by her boyfriend at the time. I did have a candid conversation with him about this, and no advice was given. I was not offered to live with him. I was just sent on a plane back to effing hell. Once I graduated, my father said he would help me move out, and he was still court-ordered to pay me child support directly to me at this time. He asked me to create a budget, and then he would review it so that I could get help with school. I made a budget for the amount that he was court-ordered to pay, which was $2,400 a month. He reviewed my budget and told me he would give me $300 a month. My first semester of college, my mom moved overnight, and I was homeless overnight. I called my dad and wife too. I let them know what was going on, and that if I did not get more help right now, I was going to drop out of school and be forced to focus on survival. In that moment, they told me they would no longer be supporting me whatsoever. I asked if I could get my last payment of $300 so I could at least get through my finals. They said no. It was effing grim. I started my life as a homeless teenage girl. In 2016 to 2018, my partner encouraged me to have a relationship. I thought you knew what. Why not? Like my thoughts were already, who effing cared about my life? But maybe this will help him and his karma. In no way was I looking for a father. 2016 went okay. We had some okay dinner dates with my BF and his wife. Me and my BF even stayed a night with him while traveling. Then in 2018, I got a call from my father saying he was coming to where I live to visit me. No one had ever come to visit me. We met up, and it was okay. Then he and his wife said they were staying at a resort and wanted me to come up for the day. I did. It was some sort of mixer for work. So I was meeting his colleagues, and I was just being used as a talking piece. He introduced me to people and said lies about me. Like, I was college educated and had a job in tech. Just bananas SHT. I kept face. I went with it, and then I told him I was leaving. He followed me to my car and asked me to get rid of all my dogs, leave my boyfriend, and move in with him and wife too. Basically saying my whole SHT life I created was just not up to code, and I could have the real joy of living with him. He said we could be workout buddies. I said no, I will not do that, and I'm done. I drove off and did not take any more calls or texts from him. Anyway, 2020 hit, and I was in the biggest bind of my life. I was being forced to move back to my home state, and I really did not want to be homeless again. I reached out to him and said, I am moving home. Is there anyone you know renting out a place? I can pay 6 months up front while I get on my feet and resettle. He didn't ask what was going on or anything. He responded with Zillow.com quote. I eventually found someplace on my drive out there and rented a place in the middle of nowhere. I then restarted my life and bought a house in 2021. I went back to no contact with my father after that, and he would still text or call me. Just to give you a taste, here are some of the VM and TXT I got in their glory. Your aunt has cancer. You're an aunt now. I saw a funny post on Instagram about your vagina. Please call me. Last month, I got a call from a number I did not know, and it was his brother inviting me to a party with the whole family, and it would just be so great if I went. I declined because I did not feel like explaining who I am to his extended family and having unwanted attention, and because I have no contact with my dad, which everyone is aware of. Then a few days ago, I got a call from my dad's sister. I really do like my aunt, and we have kept in contact. We have an intense convo. I kept my voice in check, but I was physically shaking. Aunt, are you coming to the party this weekend? Me, no. Aunt, bummer. Do we make you uncomfortable? Me. Yeah, it's uncomfortable for me. I have to introduce myself to all these people, and they will ask me how I am related. Rationally, I know no one is being mean to me, but it hits a chord in me, and it's not a feeling I enjoy. Aunt. Well, nobody really knows how many kids your dad has. Me, I can understand that. Like I said, rationally, I understand. But it is painful for me, and I don't really see why I need to put that on me. Aunt. Well, just so you know, I went into your dad's work, and he only had 2 pictures on his desk. One of you and one of your brothers. It broke my heart because I know both of you don't speak to him, and all he talks about is how he wants you both in his life. I have no idea what the scoop is on my brother. Me. Well, I think the only way I could pursue a relationship with him is if there was a neutral third party. Maybe a family mediator or a counselor. And what about wife too? She would be a great third party. Don't you like her? Me, I have no problem with her. She's not neurotic. I would prefer a professional. He and I do not have the ability to speak to each other, and I don't possess the skills to navigate this. And what about mom and dad? They would be great backups. Me, no. I need a counselor, someone outside of this situation. If we do really want a relationship, we would need to heal this and be able to communicate with one another. And, well, you don't need to say everything to heal a relationship. Sometimes it is just texting someone back or going out to lunch with them. If you were to have a relationship with your father, I can tell you this. There would be financial compensation. She then begged me to break the ice with him so we could start a relationship. It has to be entirely on my end. I guess I am expected to be the adult for my parents in all situations. We got off the phone shortly after that, and now I have felt like utter effing SHT for the past few days. Like I've struggled with poverty all my life. I had to drop out of school because I was homeless, grew up very abused, and now I am just barely getting my SHT together at 32. I am being offered financial compensation, but only if I stroke his ego and pretend to be his good little daughter. Lol, I'm so sick. Like I have to make all the moves. But now, even if I did have a change of heart and do want a relationship, I will be told that I was only ever after money. I don't really have the intention of pursuing a relationship with him. I have reiterated my boundaries to my aunt about how I feel about it. I find it cruel and cold to offer financial compensation to me after knowing my life. So if you made it this far, thank you. I guess that is what I am looking for, a third-party perspective on this. Maybe if you're a dad, hey, tell me what the hell. Is this a normal father-daughter thing? If you are an estranged family member, what is it like for you? Or if you're just a normal, sane person, what is your take? I know this is only my side of the story. For reference, my father is well liked in his community. An honored veteran with a prestigious career, highly educated, and not socially awkward in situations outside of me. That's all I got, folks. I have no idea how to feel about this. I go from feeling like I do right now with black tar oozing out of my body to being completely apathetic to the situation.